Now, a lot of us, okay, when we first see an order flow chart, we focus, okay, on this candle. We focus, okay, on this color of this candle, and our minds are actually, okay, programmed, okay, to just look at what this color is. But this color, we have to, okay, just put it aside, okay, for some time and try to understand, okay, why sometimes, okay, this color is red and why sometimes, okay, this color is green, or what really happened, okay, between the high and the low over here. So what we're doing is in order flow is we are adding data to a chart. We are adding information to a chart, and we are trying to find out what happened, okay, between the high and the low of the bar, or what happened, okay, between the open and the close of the bar, right? Now the color of this candle is dependent on the open and the close, right? So if the close of the bar, this is the close, if the close of the bar is lower than the open, the color of the candle is red. Or if the close of the bar, of this particular bar, is higher than the open, the color of the candle is green, right? In order flow, what we do is like, okay, we don't pay attention, okay, to the information in the color of the candle. What we do is we try to find out, okay, what has happened, okay, between this buying and the selling. Now this candle has closed over here at 11:15. Why did it close over here? Because, okay, it met, okay, a little bit of serious buying over here, took it from the lows of 51,219 and placed it right here, okay, around this 51,275, 280 mark, right? The same thing over here, this color became red because there is a 314 lot seller which came in exactly at 51,412 and pushed this from the high to this close. So what you are seeing is you are actually getting a little bit more information than the open, high, low and close of the bar, and you're seeing, okay, in this important points, okay, where the seller is operating and where the buyer is operating. We are trying to do over here is we are trying to
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. A quick sound check. Am I audible? Can someone confirm if I'm coming across? Great. So welcome, guys. Welcome to this Monday 5 p.m. Session where we will first do a review of what happened last week and then take over about what the Nifty and Bank Nifty have done today and the way forward for the rest of the week. So we have the important Bank Nifty monthly expiry tomorrow. So let's see how we are placed for that and also what the Nifty is doing. So let's start with the weekly report, which has been published on the website. As always, last week's Nifty profile, you can see how we had spoken on Monday also about this and how we made an attempt to probe about this weekly value, but we formed a B-shaped profile on the first day of the week, which was the Monday. And this prominent POC of previous week, which was 24657, was not able to give way. It continued to act as a magnet. So the first day was a balance. It was a narrow range day, which did not give any upside. So what happened on Tuesday was we got a clear indication that the sellers had taken control. How was that? First thing was we opened below this value. We moved away from this weekly POC, which was the magnet, and we left an initiative selling tail. So we formed a trend day down on Tuesday, which was very clearly telling us that the PLR, the path of least resistance, has changed to the downside. So remember, we had a neutral extreme profile to the upside last week, and we had formed a very narrow range value area. So this value was suggesting to us that we can get a trending move in the week later. So in market profile, it always happens that we have a balance which is followed by an imbalance, and then an imbalance is followed by a balance. So it happens on all time frames. So you can see how on the weekly, when we got this narrow range value area, we were looking for a move away from this value, and that move away would give us a trending move. So when on Monday we failed to form value high above this value area high, Tuesday it was very clearly telling us that we are headed lower because it moved away from this POC and the value. We formed lower value than the weekly zone. So it was very clear we are headed lower, and you can see how we have formed lower value on the rest of the 2 days. And this huge gap down on Thursday was not a surprise, whatever reasons we get later, but it was very clear on Monday itself that the auction is headed lower. So we'll come to the order flow chart also of Nifty futures, and we will have a look at what happened last week and how the order flow was shaping up today, and how clearly it was marking a difference about how the sellers were getting in last week, and today it was more of profit booking whenever it was coming to the lower zones. So it was very clearly telling us that it was headed lower. What happened on Thursday, the big gap down invited some profit booking by the sellers, which is why we left this A period buying tail, and we formed a very narrow range P-shaped profile. But then again on Friday, when we made an attempt to probe above this highs, the sellers came back strongly, and we got another trend day down. And this trend day down went on to get into this weekly profile of 18th to 22nd November. And we almost tagged that weekly VPOC of 23524. So we just took support above it. 23537 was the lows, and it was a spike close. So whenever in market profile we close in a spike, or for example we have a neutral extreme close, we are not very sure about the next open, because the market is opened in a late move which is not justified by time. So which is the reason uh, we need to get that confirmation at the next day open about if the closing auction is a valid one or not. So you can see how we opened above this spike zone. So coming to the weekly report, we can see how we have formed an elongated 1244 point range triple distribution trend down weekly with extension handle as 24601, 24149 and 23796, and a close with a spike. So this was the spike zone, which will be the immediate zone to watch. So this zone was our reference when we opened today, and we had this weekly value and also this HVN as our reference for the current week. On the downside, we are looking at this 23459 at the lower support, below which we are looking for this tag of 23339 and 23247, which is the June series VWAP. So the weekly profile, you can see it was a triple distribution trend down one, which is closed in a spike. So that is what we were uh, ahead, and this prominent POC of the week was at 23537. Just a second, guys. Yeah, 23956 is the prominent POC of this week, and which will be the immediate reference on the upside whenever we are probing higher. So the hypos for today, you can see on the upside, we had this previous close, and then we had this spike high 632, the MTP high, sorry, and then we have this spike open spike start where the zone from where the spike started 6762 537, and then we had 735 as the ITPO halfback, the extension handle of 796, which I've mentioned in the weekly report also. And then we have this important reference of 23870, which is now a daily extension handle. So these were our hypos on the upside. And today when we opened higher. And let us see what we have done. So you can see we opened above this spike and we remained above the spike. So I'll just split this daily chart so we can see how we opened well above and we made an attempt to probe higher. And we even made couple of range extensions, not in the C but D and E. So these were good range extensions, but we went on to stall right at the 23870 level, which we have mentioned in the week hypos. We made a high of 23869.5, I think, today, and from there the auction stalled and went on to make lower lows. But the lower lows, you can see how we have stalled right at that MTPO high. So this spike, we remained above this spike. We went on to hit an important reference 23870, and then on the downside we took support at this 23632 level. So what we have done today is we have formed a neutral center profile, and this was always expected, because once you have an imbalance, it will always be followed by a balance and vice versa. So in December we have got three such days which have given us big imbalances, and you can see how those three big days stand out. They have formed outside days in Nifty, and the first one was I think on the 5th of December, and the second one was on the 13th, which was the Friday previous to last week, and the last one was 28th of December, which was last Friday. So those outside bars give us some important cues where one party has taken advantage, and after which it is followed by a balance. So you can see if we stack this profile, we have formed a nice neutral center profile with a close right at this prominent POC of 23750. So this is where the focus would be going forward for tomorrow, and also on Thursday, which will be the monthly expiry, because Wednesday is a holiday this week. So we only have two more sessions left for Nifty monthly expiry. So this 23750 is where the focus would be. And we saw big volumes coming in on the 23800 call and put side. So we will need to see if this in between strike also starts to attract volumes. If that happens, if you're getting option volumes at this level, then we can expect a muted expiry near this 23,750, 23,800 zone. Else we will need a move away from this balance, and that will have to come in form of a initiative buying tail or a initiative selling tail. Then that will give us a cue of what the auction is trying to do. If we move lower with an initiative selling tail, then we can tell that the auction is now resuming the downside which it had started last week, and it can go on to tag this weekly VPOC lower. And if we are getting an initiative buying tail, then our first objective above that 23870 would be this prominent POC of 23956. So that is how we will need to see in spot how we go forward. Let us have a look at the Nifty futures profile chart and see how that is placed. So I was talking about the three big profiles we had this series. This 22nd November was another such profile on the daily time frame, which is where we have taken support on Friday. So I'll just increase the TPO size so that these bigger profiles can be seen. So you can see this 22nd November was one such elongated profile which helped us to gauge that the buyers had come in. And then we had another similar profile on the 5th, which was again an outside bar on the 5th. And you can see how the rest next 7-8 profiles remained inside this. And then again on the 13th, once we tested the selling zone of the 5th, again on the 13th we made a good low which tested the initiative buying of the start of the series. And then again we went on to close at the highs. This was again a neutral extreme profile which did not give any follow up. So you can see this 13th profile became a reference, unable to get above this 13th profile highs. What the futures did was last week made a probe lower. We got selling tails on all days of these profiles. You can see it started with this A period selling tail on 16th, continued on 17th, and on 18th again we got an initiative. It was not an A period but a B period. Nonetheless, it was a initial balance selling tail. So we went on to make lower lows. Then it formed this narrow range balance, which was telling us that the imbalance on the downside is taking a breather. And then we again went on to make these lower lows and a big trend day down on Friday. And today what we have done is we have remained inside this profile. And the first sign today that the sellers are no longer pushing down is we opened above the POC. So the POC shifting to the lows of 23642 was a confirmation that the sellers were booking profit on Friday. So that is what was telling us not to carry shorts, because we already had a big trending move on the weekly time frame, and we had hit some important objectives. You can see this VPOC, which was coming from 22nd of November, which was at 23692, was tagged. So this was one good objective, and we finished a good move on the weekly time frame. So with the POC shifting lower, it was making sense to book out shorts. So that is the reason today when we opened with a gap up, and whatever we saw today in the order flow was mainly the stuck shorts coming out, and that is the reason we got the order flow, the caught as green. So I'll come to the order flow bit and we'll discuss how the order flow shaped up from last week and how it was different today. So I'll just switch this to the 30-minute order flow. We'll start with the 15-minute order flow just to see what was the open type today, because we remained in previous day's range. The 915 bar, if we look, although it had huge volumes, we had almost double the, not double but 1.5 the average volumes. The average volumes are around 20,000 contracts for Nifty futures in the first 15 minutes. So we had a volume of 34,000 contracts. But what happened was we opened higher, and you can see how we have got greens stacked up here. So it was telling us that we had some stuck shorts from previous day who were getting out because of the gap up. So that is the reason today's caught was green caught. Today's open was showing green caught, and we were getting two-way moves because the spike was held. We were taking support at the lows here. You can see how we have got zeros on the sell side. When you have got so many rows of zeros on the sell side, when you're making new lows for the day, it is very clearly telling us the supply is not there. There is no supply coming in at this zone, and whatever greens were happening, they were short covering. And yes, we did see supply coming up at higher levels. This 23834 was the VWAP of Friday, and that was the trend day VWAP. So that was an important reference, and we did see when we tried to tag that, we got some big initiative sellers coming in. So that held till the C period. But once those that VWAP was taken out in the D, you can see how we got some more short covering. We got this 1079 green, and we made that higher highs in the E period. So if I switch on to the 30-minute order flow, and if we can have a look at the 30-minute order flow, you can see how the caught of the A period today was 9,532. This is very good big green caught. So you don't want to short a market which is showing you this green caught. So this is very clearly, it was telling us this is not the case last week. Last week at the open we had discussed, we saw it on Thursday also in the 5 p.m. session, how at the open we got some big red caught on almost all days. So I'll just quickly run through last week's order flow of the opening 1 hour, and you can see how We got red caught at the open, and which was followed by some IS bars on 30 minutes. So this is the 16 last Mondays. You can see how the caught is minus 7481 red. It was followed by another negative red caught, and throughout the day we were getting sellers who came in. This was Monday, and again on Tuesday you can see this 915 bar, and you can see it is almost all rows are marked in red, which is telling us selling imbalance. So when you're getting selling imbalance, you definitely want to be on the shorter side. And you can see how the cot was supporting. You had minus 9396 cot, and this cot remained red. We got a 30-minute IS also. So this is where we knew last week it was a very clear case of being short, because we had the order flow confirmation, we had the cot confirmed that we are moving lower. And on spot we saw how on Tuesday at open we have moved away from the previous week's value. So when moving away you're getting this kind of a cot and this IS bar, there is no reason for you to not go short in this market. Again on Thursday we did get a bounce, but again you can see the cot turned red, minus 6500. So all the opening 30-minute cots were red last week, and this was what came on that gap down day. Even here we saw some profit booking, but again the cot was not too red or this thing. This was more because of the short covering. So this was understandable because we gapped lower and we saw some shorts booking out. But then on Friday you can see how we probed higher, but then we got back supply and we got this big minus 4529 red cot. So this is how we played out, and we got this IS plus IS and 30-minute IS bar, very important signals. So the rules are simple. Below the IS we go short with a stop loss at the highs of the IS, and the IS bar POCs are very important references. So you see this IS bar POC, the first IS 30 which we got on Friday below VWAP in the G period, the POC of that is 23902, and today's high, you if you see, the sellers came back strongly right at that level. 23901.8 is the high we could make today, and we saw some big supply coming in at this zone, and which was the reason this move which we saw, the range extension which we saw, got negated. We left a scene of crime at this 23855 level, and we went on to make lower lows. But again you see the cot today, the lower move also, we only were getting more greens than reds. There could be two reasons for this. The first reason is, yes, there are a lot of shorts who are still stuck, so every down move is being used by those stuck shorts to come out. Another reason is we are already in the expiry week. We have only 2 more days for settlement. So these could be shorts of the December series who were booking profits, because we did not see too much of a green cot in the January series. So this green cot of today, the 10 bar cot which we watch, I'll just put up the, you can see the 10 bar cot is on the green side. It never went into the red zone today in spite of having two-way moves. So even when we were making these new lows, you can see how the cot remained green. And then finally in the afternoon, we got a 30-minute IB. So this is now telling us that the sellers are not coming in at the lower levels, and it looks likely that the sellers who were there last week have booked profits. So now what would be our view for going forward? So first thing, we have got a 30-minute IB bar. So we will need to get about this 30-minute IB tomorrow. And if in the order flow we can get a good buy side signal on the 3 minutes first and then on the 30 minutes, which validates above this 23792 level, we can look for more upside. So, and definitely when we are moving higher, we will, this IB high would become one important reference, 23921, and we will need to see if the sellers are coming back in that zone. So order flow will play a very crucial role as always in helping us to decipher that. So for today, it was very clear this down move was coming on green cot. So when the move and the cot is not matching, we will wait for it to get in sync. So now we have a green cot and we have also got an IB bar on 30 minutes. So above this IB bar will be our long entry, and stop loss would be this 23710. So 23710 will remain a support, important support for the remaining 2 days of this series, and we'll need to see if the buyers are able to defend that and take it above today's IB high. So they, just to answer a question, COT is commitment of trade. It is the difference between the total buying minus selling of that particular bar. So we have, this is a proprietary tool at VTrender, and we use this along with the other order flow features which we have to get a better probability of that setup working in our favor. So this is how we are placed in the Nifty futures. So once we get about this, we will need to see if we are able to sustain below about today's VWAP, and then take off this highs of today where we saw some good supply coming in. So this zone has shown supply today, but the zone lower has not shown any supply. So that is the reason we will go long for a test of this 23860 23900 level for tomorrow, and then we will have to see what order flow signal comes at that zone to take it forward. So now let us get going with the Bank Nifty chart. We don't use delta, guys. There is a query about delta. We don't use delta. We are using COT, and delta is used by some other service providers, but it'll be better if you pose your question to the guys who are giving delta as an indicator. What we can talk only about what we do, what we show. So any questions related to what we have on the charts would be easily be answerable by us. So Ramkumar has a question. We didn't see sellers booking out from last week. Was there any evidence to suggest? I, in fact, I just explained that Ramkumar, that the POC shifting lower on a trend day means that those initiative players who had caused the trend day were booking profits. So the POC shifting to 23642 in Nifty futures was a very good indication that the sellers, the initiative sellers, were booking profits. Yes, you did have sellers who had come in even in the last 3-4 TPOs, but the main sellers who had initiated who had caused the move had booked profits. So this is what we watch. This is the reason we look at market profile to understand the structure of the market. Order flow will give us the IBs, the LLTs, the COT, but market profile will show us what is happening when an initiative move can be expected to uh, be getting over. And I also showed how we had hit an important objective, which was a VPOC from 22nd of November in the Nifty futures. And there we saw some profit booking. So coming to the Bank Nifty spot, Bank Nifty also, as last week we had spoken on Monday, how on Monday this probe above previous value area high was rejected. I think 53666 was the value area high of the previous week, and as in Nifty we had formed a very narrow range value area zone. It was a well balanced value area zone in spite of the profile being a inside bar and a P shape kind of a profile. So when we got this B period singles on Monday, which was showing us rejection at the probe above this value area high, it was very clearly telling us that now the auction could probe below this value area low. And previous week's report, we had also mentioned this 53397, which was the weekly POC, to be the important buy side reference. So whatever up move we had seen last week, the buyers had come in at this level. So that was a reference on the downside. So once what happened last week was, once we formed this Gaussian curve with the rejection at the value area high of previous week, it was only a matter of time before we get a signal that the auction is headed lower, and we got that in form of the selling tail which broke below this POC of previous week 53397. So when that happened, initiative selling tail breaking previous week's POC, that is a good signal. And you can see how we went on to continue probe lower. We formed a trend down move and we fell by almost 3000 points, more than 3000 points from the highs. So you can see how we formed lower value. We went below this previous week's low, and then we even broke the swing low of the start of the month, 51694. And just like in Nifty, Bank Nifty also gave a trend day down on Friday, and we went on to get into that November 18th to 22nd profile and tag that VPOC of 22nd, the daily profile. So what we did on the weekly chart was a long trending 3130 point range profile, which was the largest one after March 2022. Yes, June election week had a bigger range because of that one single day swipe which we saw. But otherwise, in the last 2 years, we had the biggest weekly range, 3130 points. So we have extension handles at 53355 and 52010. So these will be the important references on the upside. And we have a HVN at 51480. Zone of single still 51718, which would be an important reference, but the immediate supply point for us would be this 51480. And if I can recall the monthly report which we had discussed, the monthly reference on for the November series, the series VWAP was at 51407, I think. So which is what was support for this month, and it got broken on Friday, and now that becomes a resistance point. So you can see today's high were right there. We were not able to sustain above that 51407, which was the series VWAP of November. Similarly, series VWAP of Nifty was at 23978, and that also once got broken became a supply point. So that will be one important reference, and you can see how last week's POC has formed right below that important zone. So that is the reason we have this top to bottom approach where the monthly references show us which on the bigger time frame which player is in control. So the hypos for today, you can see this is the weekly profile. We have these extension handle. The first extension handle is at 53355, which was also the POC of previous week. So when you're getting a sell side extension handle at a weekly POC, it is very clear that they are big players and they will give you a bigger move because it is happening on the weekly time frame. So the ideal objective of that move would have been this unvisited weekly POC of 5371, but we stopped just short of that. We made a low of 50608, which was also an important reference, as you can see that in the hypos. So 50608 was the buying tail from 22nd November, where we took support on Friday. So today we opened higher in Bank Nifty also. We probed above this halfback and this extension handle. We also got above the POC of Friday, which was at 51384. But what we did was we were not able to sustain above the series VWAP. So you can see how we have made similar highs right at that 51407 mark, which was the series VWAP of November. So that will be act as a supply point along with this POC of HVN of 51480. If we are able to take this off tomorrow, then we are looking for a test of this selling zone, which is from 51718 to 52044. So this is how we are placed in spot. What we have done in Bank Nifty today is leave a period buying tail. So A period buying tail is an important cue in market profile. Although this A period buying tail has come inside previous day's range, so it is not as significant as a period tail which would come at a new zone would be. But nonetheless, until this is not taken out, we will still look at this as a support zone for this. So if we are able to take off this selling tail, then we can look for a probe lower back below previous week's low and a test of this weekly POC, which is at 5371, and then this 49732. So but for that we will need to get a confirmation that the sellers have gotten. Today there was no such confirmation because we have got an A period buying tail. So there is no case of a short side bias in Bank Nifty, at least as of now. So let us now quickly move on to the Bank Nifty futures chart and see what the order flow showed us in that. Arpan has a question of the TPO. You can use the default TPO, Arpan. We are looking at the weekly chart, so the TPO size is bigger. If you see the daily, the TPO size will automatically come to the default one, and you can continue to use whatever the default TPO is. So ideally, for every 10,000 points, it is suggested to have one TPO. So for Nifty, it will be 2.5 to 3, and for Bank Nifty, it would be uh, around 6 or 9. So you can see how in Bank Nifty, sorry, I've not got the profile chart of Bank Nifty futures is showing us a P-shaped profile. So I'll just increase this to 9 so that we can see a good part of previous profile also. So you can very clearly see how Bank Nifty today at the open got above the VWAP of previous week, which previous session, which was a trend day down. And that was the signal that the sellers are no longer there. In Bank Nifty, the POC remained to the upside. So it was that the supply is still there at this zone, although they have been HVNs at the lower levels. So some slight profit booking has come in, but the main POC was on the upside. So today, when we opened and we remained above this VWAP, we were looking for a test of this POC, which we just missed. So what we have done, we have formed an inside bar and it is a P-shaped profile. So this singles of A period, which is at 51155, will be the support zone for tomorrow. And if we are able to sustain about this and this trend day VWAP, we are looking for a test of this POC, and what the order flow will show at this POC will tell us whether we are ready for this higher VPOC touch of 51749 for tomorrow's settlement, or whether we'll remain in a range, because Bank Nifty, the spectrum is between 51,000 to 51,500. So we can expect this POC to be held till the time we get some buy side confirmation and the order flow tomorrow. So till then, it is looking as if on the upside we have this 51,500 as the reference, this VPOC, and on the downside, this buying tail, which is around the 51,000 mark, which will be the support, the lows of today. So if below this we get an IS in order flow, then we can look for a tag of these HVNs, which is at 5,900 and 5734. And on the upside, we can look for a test of this 51745 if we get a order flow buying confirmation at this uh, VPOC of 51517. So that is how we are placed in the Bank Nifty futures. It is settlement day tomorrow. So when you're looking at the order flow of December series, make it a point that whenever you are seeing some big numbers which are coming in, compare it with the January series volumes, because there could be a lot of rollovers happening. And just because you're getting a big number in December will not mean that it is a initiative player. We'll have to make doubly sure that there is no coordinating number in the January series, because if that is happening, then that is more of a role and not a player. Someone who is booking out in December and creating a position in January. So that is it for today, guys. Let's see how the series goes. It has been a interesting December series where we have got 3 big days of imbalances, and in between we have got phases of balance. And after the Friday's balance, again today it seems that we have started a balance. So we'll need to see if this balance continues into the settlement of Bank Nifty monthly settlement tomorrow and the Nifty monthly settlement on Thursday. Else, if we are getting an imbalance, to what levels it can go forward. Murli has a query. Murli, we have these sessions almost every twice every week. Please make watch these sessions even if you're not able to join them at the time we are having. The recordings are up. Shai has also done couple of live sessions on Twitter, short sessions, where last week he was telling us how the supply has been dominating and what are the references, and that was I think on Thursday before we got the big fall on Friday. So he even gave us those references. So we are doing live. We already are live at VMR all day. So it'll be difficult to have a parallel live channel going on. But whatever we can share, however we can explain, we are doing that. So we will anyways, you can just send a mail to support@vtrender.com for whatever queries or suggestions you have, and they will definitely look over if it is feasible. So that's it for today, guys. Thank you for joining in, and let's have a great end to this December expiry, and looking forward for the new January series.